exhibition game. I think the number's 8. And the Wild are going to Vail, and nobody's told me this. This is just, again, reporter instinct. The Wild are going to Vail in the middle of this, where they're only bringing like 28, 29 guys. And in that Vail trip, there's a game bookended in Denver, and there's a game bookended in Dallas. And you're not playing your entire roster in these 2 games. So what it does is having Drew here gives Boudreau an extra guy to throw in, even if he has no chance to play it. So they could also be using him for numbers. So we just got to see how he's going to play. I think he's going to get really good opportunity. As I said, I got to think he's the guy that's going to play with Zucker and Stahl early in camp. I will correct you on one thing. He's a Minnesotan like I'm a Minnesotan. Like he was actually born in Wisconsin, grew up there, went to Shattuck, and has never left here after University of North Dakota. So he's just sort of a Minnesota resident.
Does he talk about the Florida Panthers all the time?
But he's buddies with all these guys. Like he's I've run into Parisi and him hanging out before. He's neighbor, as he said in the story, he's neighbors with Koivu. Zuccarello lives 6 houses down now. Ryan Hartman is renting his buddy's house. So he grew up with Suter and playing with the Madison Capitals. So that was the funniest thing. Like I showed up at the captain's practice the other day, and I saw him on the ice, and obviously I knew he signed a PTO, but I saw him on the ice, and I didn't even do a double take, like, oh, what's Drew Stafford doing there? Like, he just looks like a natural out there because you see him skating with all these guys every summer. So, hopefully something works out for him. What I'm afraid of is that if he makes the team, it means that the Wild ran into some significant injuries in camp, because just, again, if you do the math, it's not an easy path to see how he makes the team. So
good question. Thanks for being here.
Good question,
Appreciate
Zach.
it.
You guys should definitely chat.
Yeah, a couple minutes left in the show. I'm going to challenge you to the hardest thing you've ever done in your life. Keep these answers short.
Twitter questions?
Yes.
Okay.
Aaron Berger, thoughts on Kyle Brodziak?
Tough. I wish him all the best. He's obviously got significant injuries. He was always durable, I'll tell you that. He played his guts out in the NHL.
Good guy, too.
Yep.
From Nick
guy.
Bennett, will Russo ever put the goalie pads on for a practice?
Nah. They'd want me without a mask.
From Kyle, do you think, given all his accomplishments, that Guerin will get more respect from other GMs, and does that matter?
Yes, it does, 100%.
From Robert Duffy, with the Wild's defensive depth, will the Wild reduce Ryan Suter's ice time?
It's the question going to every training camp, and it never seems to come into fruition, so we'll see.
Maybe being on last year's deal with Boudreau will prompt that. I'm stumbling. From Brandon, not our Brandon, with a handful of teams at or above the cap and some still having to sign RFAs, would there be any players available for trade the Wild would be interested in?
Well, I think every one of those guys that's technically unsigned right now, the Wild would be foolish if they weren't interested in. I don't think any... unless it gets to the Nylander time where it's December 1st and these guys aren't signed, I don't see a lot of these guys being traded. Excuse me. There's no reason that Vancouver needs to trade like a Besser right now because of a minimal contract dispute. Hopefully that thing comes down. From a Minnesota Wild perspective, I could tell you that with 2 of their first 3 games in Winnipeg and Colorado, Bruce Boudreau is just praying that guys like Connor and Laine and Rantanen go late into this training camp or aren't even signed by then because the Wild could use all the help they can in those situations. But, look, there's no doubt, unless Bill Guerin's just not doing his job, that he has called all these other GMs to say, hey, what's going on with Mitch Marner? What's going on with Laine? What's going on with Besser? I'm sure that's happening. Besser's the one guy I would really be intrigued by. Right shot, right wing, goal scorer from here. Obviously has some personal issues right now that would make it really cool for him to be home. But I just don't see why Vancouver would move him. The question is, I play this game all the time with friends of mine. Like, what would you trade for Brock Besser? And I've had friends tell me, would you trade, Greenway and Donato? Would you trade Greenway and Fiala? Whatever. I just don't know. Those are the type of things that I could tell you. What I was told is that Fenton did call Jim Benning earlier this summer to see if there was a way to get Brock Besser, and he was basically laughed off the phone. So I don't think right now there's any likelihood that he's going to get moved, but we'll see.
Did I ask him to keep the answer short?
I forgot.
Did I say that out loud, or did I just think it?
What was the others?
a couple more and then we'll go here. First of all, thank you to everybody who shows up for the shows at Tin Shed. We appreciate it. Next show, September 18th at 7 o'clock. Thank you to all of our listeners and all of our sponsors. From irrelevant, why are player contracts so dictated by others and players and GMs? I think his point is why should the Wild care what somebody else signed a player for? Why can't you just make your own deal?
Well, I mean, it establishes a market. I mean, like the Jake Gardner situation that just happened where he got $4 million, that does not happen every day. I mean, that's why the Jake Gardner situation, like a lot of people have asked me, has the Jake Gardner situation affected the Jared Spurgeon situation? No. I think everybody in the league knows that was just sort of a one-off. For some reason, Jake got trapped in this thing where teams were, where he just priced himself out, or maybe they were scared with his back injury or whatever. But trust me, Jared Spurgeon's not suddenly getting a pay cut because Jake signed for $4 million. Right. Similarly, by the way, like Zach Werenski signing for $5 million, it's apples and oranges to Spurgeon. Different ages. Spurgeon's going to be an unrestricted free agent. Zach's coming off his first contract. It's totally like he was a restricted free agent. Jared's going to be an unrestricted. Apples and oranges. $5 million for Werenski does not mean that Jared Spurgeon's now a $5 million hockey player or lower.
Final thought?
So that's the market. I mean, you cover professional sports. I mean, the market is the market.
Absolutely.
There are comparables, and that's why it's like if you knew that Kevin Fiala was getting somewhere around 2.93, 3.1, you just know that's the comparable.
Absolutely.
So,
final thought, or are you all run out?
No, I got some stocks to buy in the parking lot. Got some early trading futures. I don't even get it. I don't really know what I'm doing. I bought 2 stocks just because their CEOs are from Minnetonka and Plymouth. I'm not kidding. I don't know what they do. Northern Oil Gas or something. It's like based in Minnetonka. I'm like, oh, I'll buy that. So. By the way, when I say this, we're talking like I'm like throwing like $100 in there. I'm not talking like big money. So made $12 today though. So I'm gonna get myself a couple coffees on the way home.
I have nothing to add.
Yeah.
Thank you all for being here. Give Michael I don't know why, but give him some applause. What the hell? But thank you all. We do appreciate it. Thanks to Tin Shed. Thanks to Brandon. We'll see you next week.
City built on a hillside, music in the bars and fire in the sky. We went to the beach and it was covered in ice, and I used to call it home. So much coming out, there's nothing going in. I know that you feel like you're never gonna win. Oh, but the world won't forgive.